Hello friends and welcome to Project Management Video of Knowledge. Through this series, we are trying to give the information, trying to give the knowledge that we know. We are trying to add value in your PMP exam. And we hope that through this series, you will be able to clear your PMP exam. In the last episode, we studied how basically we collect all the requirements, not just few requirements, all the requirements. We made requirement traceability matrix. Now, today we are going to put filter on those requirements. We are going to check which requirements are in scope, which are out scope, which requirements need to be built. We have many requirements: business requirement, functional requirement, non-functional requirement, both in predictive environment as well as in agile environment. All the requirement does not pass through scope filter. Within the limited time, within the limited cost, we can only deliver the limited requirements. So we prioritize all the requirement. We prioritize the requirement that must be built in the process, that must be built in the project and in the product. Whenever we are talking about the requirement, please remember this. We are talking about project requirement as well as product requirement. We are not focusing only on project or vision or span or eye or horizon is on the product. We want to build a product that is usable. We want to build a product that can be utilized, by the organization, that can get the strategic alignment for which the project has been undertaken. So our focus is project as well as product. Both things are our focus. Let's see from the notes how they can help us. Product scope as well as project scope. Defined scope is not limited to the deliverables to the project. It is going along the way. It is going towards the product, the things that are going to last till the project end it. We are focusing on the product scope description. Here in the defined scope, we will have project scope statement, a detailed statement in which it will be defined what is included in the scope, what is not included in the scope, that is excluded scope, what is excluded in the scope, and how we are going to accept the deliverables that are being produced along the way. What is the acceptance criteria? It must be documented here. And what are the assumption constraints that we are facing along the way? Everything must be written in detail in project scope statement. We are starting now the work that must be done. We are looking at all the areas, technology, timeframes, constraints. So one most important thing that we will study in the next process is that this project scope statement will be added work breakdown structure, dictionary, and it will become a scope baseline. We are going to make three baselines along our way, and this will be the first baseline. So it is the most important criteria, it is the most important document that will be utilized in the complete project. If you make mistakes here, if you don't add the requirement, if some requirements are excluded that must be included in the project, then we are in a trouble. So project scope statement must be approved by the major stakeholders, the sponsors, before going to the next process. So if we look at the definition, all of the requirement may not be included in the project. The defined scope selects the final project requirement from the detailed requirement. It reveals the detailed scope, what is included in the project and what is excluded in the projects. These are tools and technique of defined scope. Now, it is very important that we understand the definition of defined scope. The process of developing a detailed description of project and product scope. It describes the project services or result by defining which of the requirements collected will be included and which are excluded from the project. This is very important that we have put a filter on our project scope. So we get project scope statement as the major output of this process. As always, I say that always look toward the output and then move backward, then do reverse engineering. For example, the process is define scope. So we should know that the major output of this process will be project scope statement. Now from there, go what are the tools that you will be requiring, what are the inputs that you will be requiring, how these inputs will add value to your process. So in this way you can help building a better process. So let's look at the ITTOs. Project charter is required because we are looking at project scope statement, plan, documents, EF, OPA, all these things we have discussed earlier will come. We will have expert judgment, data analysis. Now we are putting things out of the scope and in the scope. So we have to do alternate analysis. Do this, do that, do this, do that. What to do, what not to do. We have to prioritize. And Moscow must have, should have, could have, won't have, or would have is a good technique to be utilized in the prioritization, what to have, what not to have. We make a matrix to see, then we do a product analysis. We make a product breakdown, we do system analysis, requirement analysis, where basically we filter the requirement required, system analysis, value engineering, value analysis to see what we need and what we don't need. Then we get a detailed project scope statement getting product scope, description, deliverable, acceptance criteria included, excluding constraint, assumption. And remember, project charter and project scope statement are two different documents. Here, I would like you to have an assignment of your own and write detailed project scope statement. First, make a project charter, then make a detailed project scope statement by collecting the requirement, refining the requirement, and seeing what is in the project, what is not in the project. And you can send me your project scope statement and project charter. I will review you and let you know how you are doing. I hope this has added value in your PMP. Thank you very much for listening.